Hello my fellow readers, today I'm going to be talking about the manga series Run on Your New Legs. So this is a series that came out, I believe last year. I don't think it was earlier than that, but last year, and as you may be able to tell, is about a boy with a prosthetic leg and his pursuit of sports. I'll of course get more into that, but I'll read what they have to say about it, and then I'll talk about like how I perceive the story. So Shota Kikuzato's hopes of starting on his school's prestigious soccer team are derailed when a terrible incident costs him his leg. Now in his first year of high school, again, Kikuzato has resigned himself to never reaching his athletic dreams. But when Chidori, a passing prosthetist, every time I read that, I'm like, I don't really know how that's said, notices Kikuzato's artificial limb and speed as he races through the train station. The specialist proposes a partnership. Chidori will build Kikuzato a brand new leg designed solely for speed. All Kikuzato has to do is run. So yeah, there you go. Here was an athletic boy that he and his best friend worked very hard to become the top 2 soccer players in their middle school. And in order to get into the high school that was well known for their soccer program and become like pro soccer players. So he and his best friend, they worked really hard. They both get accepted. They're really excited. And then terrible accident happens and Kikuzato loses his leg. There is of course more to that story too, because when it opens, he also kind of lost his relationship with his best friend. I think it's Take. I think it's shortened to Take, if I remember correctly. And that, of course, is really depressing. And then you want to know, well, what happened with that relationship? Did Take abandon Kikuzato, or did something else happen? We do get that story within the first 3 volumes. So I read volumes 1 through 3. I think volume 4 maybe was just released, and I feel like I ordered volume 4, but I don't have it yet. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. So we do get the story of what happened back then after the accident and why they're not currently communicating. And I mean, these are all pieces of why I really liked the story, because there was full depth of the story and the characters, very realistic characters and relationships, and seeing the impact of a sudden trauma like this also touches on how, like, the medical impact of this, what he has to go through, what it's like for him to wear his prosthetic leg. How sometimes it's not always like a visible disability, so sometimes people don't know that he has issues doing stuff because they can't see that the leg that he's wearing is prosthetic. And it's just, I don't, there's all these little nuances that I really liked, similar to how I really appreciated A Perfect World. Run on Your New Legs is like that, only it's also a sports manga. So not only do you have this emotional story about a boy who's trying to regain his athleticism and find a new path in sports, but also is dealing with what it's like to have a prosthetic leg and what that means for his health and physical well-being, what the prosthetic actually feels like. I don't know, it's fascinating. And even the science behind making the legs, and especially the sports leg, how they're done, what they have to be made from, with any, like, the amount of like molding and cushioning that should be there so that they can properly move on the legs, like all of it. There's all these little nuances that were really interesting. And on top of that, just the heart of it, because it's still also just the story of a boy who wants to achieve these dreams of being in sports. So originally he wanted to play soccer, and that's actually part of the moving things too, is like Take, this is a bit of a spoiler, but Take feels a little bit abandoned by Kikuzato. Like, he tried to reach out to him and was ignored. And then lately, I think it's more recently, I could be thinking about like past things that he was doing, but he like had seen videos about people who had prosthetic legs that were able to play like soccer. It's a different kind of league. But I think there was still a hope that maybe he could play with his friend and that they could do soccer together. So even at this point, there's a sense of betrayal as well, because he's not pursuing soccer. He's switching to running, hence the Run on Your New Legs. So he's switching to like more track and field and doing runs like that rather than joining the soccer club. And so Take definitely feels abandoned by that. And there's obviously more that's going on in that whole relationship, because, you know, he still would need to be understanding that his friend lost something major and is still dealing with that loss, and also trying to find a new path in his life because of that loss. And I think it's hard for people who don't have that to understand that kind of mind shift that people have to go through. And he's trying his best to be supportive, I think, but there's still that blocking there, that difficulty that impacts the relationship. So I don't know. I'm hoping that as the series develops, we're going to see their friendship rekindle, because they're both good people and they deserve to be friends with one another, and they were such best friends. There is well, technically he's another first year, but he is younger than Kikusato because he missed his first year of high school. So he is a first year, but he's the age of a second year. So that also complicates things for him. So anyway, there's a fellow first year that is in the track and field, and he's been helping Kikusato join track and helping him to learn that. And then he meets other club members who start teaching him little things about track. And it's interesting. And then there's just the zany prosthetist who has his own backstory too. Like every character has a full story of their lives. But when he was learning, it's not really like he made a mistake, but he wasn't living up to his full potential and believing in himself either. And that was impacting his job as a sports professional. And when he runs into a former client, there's still like this tension, but it was like working with that former client that inspired him to do better and to believe more in himself and the athletes that he's working with. So I don't know. Everybody has a story. It's all really good. I'm not usually like a huge sports manga or sports anime fan. Like my top favorites are Free and Yuri on Ice, so it's not really my thing. Although, what is it? Kokoro no Basket? You know the one, the basketball one. The basketball which Kuroko plays. Anyway, that one. I liked that one too. I never finished it because it was too long, but sometimes I can get into the sports for at least a little bit. But in general, I'm not really a sports player, not a huge sports reader. But this one is really good. It's got a lot of heart, and I really like the characters. And I would recommend to anybody to read this one. Run on Your New Legs is really great. That's about all I can say. And they're very quick reads too. Like you get so invested in it that it flies by. You can get through those volumes really quickly, and then you want more. And unfortunately, I don't have more yet. I feel like also sometimes I forget to say the author's name, but usually I've credited it, so it's not like a huge deal, but Wataru Midori is the author for Run on Your New Legs. And it's really good, and I would suggest you pick it up if you see it available around you. Just grab it, give it a read, because it's super, super good. That's it for this video. Until next time, bye.